Hey Giants fans, welcome back to Giants Latest. Well, we have a new quarterback and we're taking on the Chargers on Sunday. So we have a lot to discuss. Let's go ahead and get right into it. I want to start with this because I think it's interesting to note that both the Chargers and the Giants are missing their starting running back. Now, for both teams, I think this ultimately might not be a huge detriment to them because the Chargers still have Omarion Hampton as a rookie who's done a great job so far. He's been able to step in and be a playmaker for them. And the Chargers offense has been putting up over 20 yards per game and has looked excellent so far this season. Justin Herbert is playing on another level, which we're going to talk about Justin Herbert in a minute. But I think this offense is not missing a beat with Najee gone. Obviously, it's disappointing to lose him. We could say the same about the Giants, right? Cam Scatterbo came in here with Tracy gone and immediately made a difference. He scored a touchdown. He's used as a pass catcher and as a runner and has been successful in both of those scenarios. So he's obviously a key player to this Giants offense. He's going to get a lot of snaps on Sunday against this Chargers defense, who is very good against the run. But what I like about the Giants is that they're probably going to elevate Turbo. And Turbo has great experience in this screen game, which I think is going to be a big part of the Giants offense on Sunday. And he also has that speed that so many young players in the NFL don't have. So I think a backfield of Turbo and Scat is going to be really beneficial for the Giants. And if the offensive line can run block, there's no reason why this offense shouldn't be able to run the ball successfully. Now, like I said, the Chargers have a really good run defense. It's not going to be easy. They're going to have to grind it out yard by yard. But I think if they can open up some holes and the Giants can do what they did against Kansas City, they can get the run game going. It'll open up the pass game, and hopefully they can score some points and maybe win this game. But the Giants' run defense is also going to have to step up against Hampton because he's no slouch. They obviously picked him in the first round for a reason. He is stepping right in and has been impressive right off the bat. So I expect to see a lot of Omarion Hampton on Sunday. They are absolutely going to try and run the ball down our throats, and the Giants were lucky and they had success with it against Kansas City, but the Kansas City the Kansas City run game is not as productive as what we've seen out of the Chargers run game so far. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, I want to talk about the Oregon alumni, because I don't think this has really been touched on much this week so far, that Kayvon Thibodeau and Justin Herbert played together for 1 year at Oregon. And I want to read a quote to you guys about what Kayvon Thibodeau had to say about him on Monday of this week. He said, Justin Herbert's a great quarterback. I always knew he was a beast when I was there. We won the Rose Bowl back in 2019. They've got Chargers linebacker Troy Dye over there as well, who was my starting linebacker. Him and Herbert have a great story, but yeah, it'll be exciting to get a game against him. Super great guy, but definitely I'm excited to be an opponent. And Thibodeau is having an incredible season so far. I see a lot of the fan base saying, like, we need Abdul Carter as the edge rusher, blah, 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 he needs to be rushing. And while I agree with you, I think one of the biggest reasons why they haven't done that, why they really haven't rotated Abdul Carter in there, is because Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau are both playing like their hair is on fire. Now, Brian Burns has been doing that since last year. This is nothing new. But I talked about this a lot this offseason, that I think drafting Abdul Carter was going to light a fire under Kayvon's ass, and my God, was that true. Because this man has been playing incredible so far this year. He has a 12.5% pass rush win rate with 12 pressures, 5 run stops, 5 quarterback hits, and 2 sacks in 3 games. So he is playing lights out. He's playing really well. Now, of course, I want to see more of Abdul Carter, but part of the reason why we also have not seen him so much on the edge is because last week against the Chiefs, they had to use him as a linebacker because we're on our 4th string linebacker over here, struggling with that. But I think Darius Muasau is going to be back on Sunday, so that could make a difference and help from the linebacker perspective. But also, knowing this battle between Herbert and Tibs, you know that Tibs is going to take it to the next level this Sunday. I think he's been playing excellent so far. He's going to take it to that next level, knowing that, it's a former player. They were on the same team. It's the same thing with Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors. Like, we know that those two are besties and they're close, but when the game comes on, like, they're talking about showing each other up. We heard Malik Neighbors say it this summer, knowing they were going against each other week 1, that Abdul Carter was going to be coming after Jaden Daniels. Now, obviously, that game didn't go the way that we hoped it would, but still, the comparison is there, right? So obviously Justin Herbert is a great quarterback, but I think watching Thibodeau on Sunday is going to be really fun with that added element of knowing that they used to play football together, and that Tibs, I think, is going to take it to the next level going after him on Sunday. So let's see if Thibodeau can go ahead and get a sack on Herbert, who's elusive in the pocket, who makes great throws, who obviously can run very successfully. This is going to be a great matchup. I think it's going to be a very, very tough game for the Giants, which we're going to talk about later this week. But if there's one thing that's maybe going to help it, it's this. Maybe. Jackson Dart was named the starting quarterback for Sunday's game against the Chargers. Now, here's where I'm at with this, and I would love to hear your guys' opinion, because I was on Instagram Live this week, and I know there's mixed opinions. There's one group of fans who are like, thank God Russ was horrible last week. Jackson Dart is going to take us to the promised land, and he's going to elevate this offense in a million different ways. And then you've got the other side of the coin, which is the team as a whole needs a lot of help, and we're playing a really good team on Sunday that throwing Jackson Dart in there with an offensive line who's still kind of struggling. Andrew Thomas isn't playing 100% of the snaps. The pass blocking was not great, is going to be a problem, and we still struggle in the red zone. So why are we rushing Jackson Dart in there? The plan this year was obviously that he was going to sit as much as we could, and now they're jumping the plan like they did in 2022 after having, back then it was a little bit of success. This time it's having a whole lot of failure. So I'm in the second camp. I personally would have preferred to see this. Russell Wilson had a horrible game on Sunday. Bench Russell Wilson, elevate Jameis Winston, and make Jameis Winston your number one quarterback against the Chargers. Here's why. The Chargers are a really good football team. And I know the Giants don't think like this, but as a fan, I think like this. They're probably not winning Sunday's game. So why would you throw your rookie quarterback into a situation where your team is already struggling and you're going against a top 10 defense in the NFL? They went against a top 15 defense last week, and it was a horrible showing. So, they're not going against the Cowboys and the Commanders defense week 4. This is the Chargers we're talking about. They don't even have Khalil Mack, and they're still a top 10 defense in the NFL on all sides of the ball. They are number 1 in the red zone. And we are last in red zone efficiency. So I just would have preferred to see Jameis Winston, because the way I feel about it is Jameis Winston is still going to throw the ball down the field. He still can operate this offense. He still can make some plays. You can do a quarterback sneak with him. You can try the tush push if you really want. He's taller. He's got long arms. I just think there would have been a lot of benefits. And honestly, in my opinion, it would have been the most fun. You know what I mean? If they lose to the Chargers, which I personally think they're going to do regardless of who's the quarterback, the Jameis Winston post game is going to be fun as hell. Come on. This season sucks so far. Give us a little bit of a reason to have a laugh. You know what I mean? So anyway, I would have preferred that. But outside of that, they are also, I just think they're rushing it. And knowing that they're playing the Saints next week, I think, in my opinion, that would have been a better opportunity to start Jackson Dart. You give him an opportunity to say you're not going against an amazing defense. It's going to give you the opportunity to build some confidence. So then when you have to play the Eagles, the Broncos, and the Eagles back to back to back, and then the Niners, then you've got some confidence under your belt, right? And, I think the whole team as a whole coming off of a win against the Saints is good for everyone, obviously, right? So anyway, they made their decision. They are starting Jackson Dart on Sunday. And, I think there are a couple benefits to this. I think the biggest one is that the playbook is going to change. Now, we're not talking about running a completely different offense, but the offense is going to look different. I think we're going to see more RPOs. We're going to see more of the middle of the field, which Russell Wilson obviously struggled with. We're going to see more designed quarterback runs. Jackson Dart is a much better runner than Russell Wilson is. And he also is better taking pressure in the pocket. He did that well in college. Let's see if it translates to the NFL level. And we should see Andrew Thomas for more than only 28 snaps this week. So, I think we're going to have Darius Lewis out back. Dexter Lawrence is starting to look like himself. There are some things that I'm optimistic about, but ultimately, until this team wins football games, I don't think they're going to go into the Chargers and beat them just because Jackson Dart is their quarterback. So time will tell. We'll see. But we have one other bit of news that I wanted to share before we wrap this up, and we'll get into more of this situation when we talk about the injury report tomorrow, is what's going on with the kicker situation. It has just been announced that the Giants signed former Falcons kicker I don't know is it Youngho? Koo to their practice squad. So They're bringing in another kicker, which is a good and bad sign, right? It's a good sign because that means that we're not going to have to wait up to game time to see whether or not Graham Gano is ready to go. And then if he is not feeling great game day, we're in trouble. And the second thing, the bad thing, is that Graham Gano is probably not going to play on Sunday. So we're going to have a new kicker, which at least we're not going to have no kicker, right? They're finally getting ahead of it. So now we have another kicker. The thing that's also interesting is we do have an international kicker, Jude, who's on the practice squad, but I guess they don't have a ton of faith in him. So we will continue to watch it, see what happens. I will be back tomorrow with more Giants news and updates, and we will be talking quite a bit about the injury report. So subscribe for more.